You're listening to the CIP podcast, the Study Abroadcast, Season 5, Episode 8. In this show, we explore the world of study abroad, offering advice, insights, and travel stories, bridging perspectives and cultures along the way. My name is Jackie, and I'll be your host. I'm one of the CIP peer helpers this semester. In this episode, I'll speak with a student currently studying abroad in Lund, Sweden, about their experience. Please welcome Jen to the podcast. Hi, Jen.
Hi.
Can you give us just a quick brief intro about yourself, like what year you're in, what you're studying, etc.?
Yeah, so I'm in my fourth year at the University of Guelph in my last semester, actually. And I am in a Bachelor of Applied Science. I'm studying family studies and human development.
That sounds so great. Look at you go in your fourth year, your last semester. It must be a great time. So, what made you want to study abroad?
I think a few things. I think one, I've always loved traveling and exploring different cultures. So I really wanted to kind of go to a place I hadn't been before. I'd never been to Scandinavia. So that was one of the reasons I picked Sweden. I've technically only really been to the south of Europe. So I wanted to experience a different part of Europe. And then as well, I just love like meeting people from all over the world. I think it really expands your understanding and your horizon. So I thought that would be really interesting. And then also, I just wanted to experience how a different culture does education as well, like just different classes than I was used to taking at Guelph and see how the profs teach here and what's different between home and Sweden.
That's awesome. Those are so many good reasons of like wanting to study abroad. And I think that speaking from my personal experience, it's something that you never know what to expect to go when you go in, but it's always such like a rewarding experience because you learn so much about
Yeah, for
yourself.
sure.
Okay, was Lund one of your top options? If so, why did you choose this particular school?
Yeah, so Lund was actually my top choice. I also had, I think, Copenhagen and somewhere in England, but Lund was my number one. It was my top school for a few reasons. One is because I just really, really liked how the buildings looked. I really love like old academia vibes, and this school, I think it's from like the 16th century. So I really liked an old institution with like a library that's like kind of Harry Potter vibes. But
Mhm.
also I just think I was learning a lot about like Swedish culture, and I was hearing it's very like a balanced lifestyle, and they put an emphasis on yes, like your academics, but also like enjoying your time here and doing extracurriculars and meeting people. So I really wanted somewhere where I'd be able to do that and that would emphasize the importance of that part of exchange. So I think it was a kind of blend between one, like I like the school itself and the old history it had, and then two, the Swedish culture itself and being like a balanced lifestyle, which is something I like want in my life as well.
For sure. And I think I mean, I don't want to obviously hate on Guelph, but I feel like sometimes we get, especially like when it comes to school, I feel like we're really pressured to do a lot of work here. And even speaking from my
Hmm.
personal experience, when you go abroad to different places, of course, it's dependent on where you are. But from speaking from like when I was in Malta, it's definitely like different. Like it feels like there's definitely a little bit of pressure off. Maybe it's just because we're exchange like students, but it's definitely a different sort of experience than if you're at your regular university, for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure. Okay, so what would you say was the biggest cultural adjustment you had when you moved to Sweden?
Yeah, I think the biggest cultural adjustment had a lot to do with the language. I think while everyone does speak English, obviously their first language is Swedish. So I think just like navigating the grocery stores and like signage on Google Maps, that was quite difficult because they often don't have an English translation as well at the grocery store. So I've had to rely a lot on just like my visual understanding of what certain items are. And then I downloaded Google Translate and I use like the camera. So I'll like take pictures of things in the grocery store and like try and translate it. But I think that's been decently hard is just like shopping for things that I would normally need. It's kind of been difficult knowing what's what. And sometimes I like think I'm getting like flour and I turn up getting like baking soda, but just situations like that.
Listen, it could be a lot worse. You could be just getting something like you could be at least like poisoning yourself. At least it's still like a baking ingredient. So, at least
Yeah.
we're in the same sort of a realm. But have you
Exactly.
found that like this is just like a follow-up to that, but have people kind of been helpful when you ask them, questions or stuff like that, to like support you in making kind of those sorts of experiences a little bit better, like meeting people and all that fun stuff?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like while everyone's first language is Swedish, everyone pretty much also knows English. So, well, actually, me and my friend, we went to the grocery store to bake a cake for our friend's birthday here, and we had this whole list of ingredients because it was an English recipe from Canada. And so we found this worker at the store, and she like helped us find the whole list of ingredients. So I think people here are very, very helpful, and they understand that there is a lot of exchange students who don't know Swedish. So they're always um, they're always willing to switch languages and help you if you need, for sure.
That's awesome. And I think you touched on this, but like, is knowing Swedish a requirement for studying in Sweden? Because I don't think that you don't speak Swedish yourself.
No.
And but you had like the chance to pick up any fun, cool words or like phrases or anything like that?
Yeah, so I don't think it's a requirement for studying in Sweden itself. I think it's definitely helpful, but obviously all my classes are in English, and I've mostly made friends with other international students, so they also don't know Swedish, so we all just communicate in English. I think it's helpful, like when I said before, in like grocery stores or like different services in Sweden, like the healthcare system, but like I mentioned, people are definitely willing to help you. And then in terms of I guess, words and phrases I picked up. I mean, I've been on Duolingo trying to learn Swedish, but I'd say Swedish is a pretty hard language. But I think mostly I've learned, hello and thank you, and also some sort of food items at the store, like bröd for bread and different like common food items that I would probably get on a daily basis so that I'm not Google translating everything, but still trying to learn. It's definitely a difficult language, but everyone is quite hopeful here for sure.
That's good. That's actually I think that's comforting to hear from anyone going abroad, because not being able to kind of understand things or asking like if people are mean or anything like that, it's always kind of like a scary, scary idea. So it's good to hear
Yeah.
that your experience has been positive. So what is your current like accommodation sort of thing? So are you off campus, on campus, and how's that experience?
Yeah, so it's actually quite different from Guelph here. They do have accommodations that are by the university, but they're not actually on campus. So they are owned by the university, but they're probably 15 to 20 minutes away from the university. I did get an offer through university accommodation from Lund, but it was a 40-minute walk to the university. So I decided to go with a third party provider that a lot of students here also use. It's called AF Bow Starter. And I've got an accommodation that's about a 15-minute walk from my classes. It's right beside a grocery store, which has been really great. I have my own like bathroom with a shower and a toilet, and then I share a kitchen with 12 other students studying here. I think most of them are Swedish. There's one other girl as well from Canada. And then there's also one guy from China, but other than that, they are all Swedish students, but they've been very welcoming as well. The kitchen is kind of difficult when you have 13 people sharing it. It can get quite messy, but there is a cleaning schedule, so two people are supposed to clean every week. But I do really like having my own bathroom, and my room is quite big. Like there's four windows, it's pretty spacious, and lots of bright light coming in. And I'd say the noise is definitely not really an issue. Like my residence is kind of known as like a party residence, but I've been able to sleep every night. But it's nice to always have that option if you want to hang out with people as well.
That sounds so great and so fantastic. But the moment you said like 12 other people, I audibly gasped because that's a lot of humans to share one kitchen with. But
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good social opportunity as well. You mean, if someone's, cooking and then another person's like washing and then another person's eating, you got three people in the kitchen and there's still nine more people that can just show up. So, it's always, I don't think you'll ever be lonely in the kitchen,
No.
but I think it's nice. It's nice to hear that even not living with, international students, like the Swedish students are still so welcoming and so nice. So
Yeah, for sure.
that's really great to hear. And then my next question for you is, how would you compare the academic system at Lund to the University of Guelph? So what kind of classes are you in? Are any of them especially unique or interesting? I know that you're a academic weapon here at Guelph, so I'm curious to hear about how you would like compare Guelph to your experience at Lund.
Yeah, so I'm in four classes here. I'm taking History of the Holocaust, Introduction to Scandinavian Culture and Society, and then Cultural Perspectives in Life, Health, and Medicine, and finally a Food, Tradition, and Innovation course. So I think they're particularly unique in that two of my classes actually have field trips. So in the food course, we're going to the Disgusting Food Museum in Malmo, which will be really interesting. We haven't gone yet, but then also in my Cultural Perspectives in Medicine course, we're going to a old psychiatric hospital that is no longer in use, but was used in like the 1800s. So I think that is definitely something that's been different as these field trips, which I think are really great opportunities to kind of apply your learning in the real world. And then it's also quite different in terms of the grade breakdown. It's very much like few assignments that are worth quite a substantial amount of your grade, whereas at Guelph, I feel like it's more assignments throughout the term. So like, you have a discussion worth 10% and then a project worth 20% and then an exam worth 30, whereas here it's kind of like I have one class where the final paper is worth 100% of my grade. So I think throughout the actual semester, there's less work. And then we'll see once I get to May when I have all these finals worth 100% of my grade, how busy it gets. But I'd say throughout the actual semester itself, it's more chill because of there's not many actual projects worth your mark. There is readings, but in terms of actual like grades, that doesn't really come until the end of the semester.
That is exactly what my experience was too. It
Yeah.
was to be so honest, I didn't believe it when they said that I had a final paper that was worth, I think it was either 50% or 100%. I know
Yeah.
I had two classes that had kind of were split. Everything was at the end of the semester. It's like you have all this freedom right now. You're like, so you're telling me I don't have to write like a major paper or lab or any of these things right now? You're telling me I can have like I just have to do these readings and then that'll be a future me issue. But it's definitely a different sort of like academic system. I don't know if it's better or worse. You'll have to update me about your experience. Mine, it was kind of nice. I didn't
Yeah.
in general, I didn't stress too much about the final paper and things like that because it's not like they're expecting very long papers, at least in my experience either. So I mean, you'll have to see, but it's definitely kind of nice to not have
Yeah,
to
I
do
agree.
deliverables all the time.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So, how have you found making friends? I know that we talked a little bit about this over like messaging and things like that. But like, would you say it's easy to make friends while abroad or sort of challenging?
Yeah, so I would say it's kind of a mix of both. I think initially when you get here, there's just so much going through your brain that at the beginning, I would say it's challenging just because you're feeling homesick. For me personally, I didn't actually move into this residence until February 1st. So just my space was kind of not even where I was going to be living. But this university did a really good job of trying to initiate friendships for us. They set us all up on this app called Going. So it's kind of like you can make a profile and say where you're from and some of your interests and meet other students who are also going to be in Lund with, you know, possibly in the same residence or similar interests. So that app was actually really, really helpful. I met up with a lot of people I connected with on that app and we're still friends today. So I have some of my best friends here. One is from Australia and we met on that app. And then one is from Barcelona, Spain. And then we met through that friend from Australia. And then I have a friend from the UK who I also met through that app. So I would say most of my friends are actually from that app. And then otherwise from classes, I've met people who, have like 3 out of 4 classes with me. So we've become good friends. And then I'm not too close with my floor mates just because they are Swedish, but they're also very great. And we have like, monthly dinners and we'll eat together or something like that. So that's just been nice as well. But I'd say, yeah, my close friends have been either from that amazing app or, friends of friends and then class as well. So I think now it's off, I've settled in and definitely now it's easy, but I think, the first few weeks are hard for anyone when you don't know anyone because personally, like I came here fully alone. And then it was all on me to make the friends myself, but I think give it time and it'll come.
For sure. I had the same experience. I didn't have my permanent like accommodation while abroad for about a
Mhm.
week since I flew in a week early and they didn't have my accommodation ready, so I had to stay in like a hotel and I just felt
Yeah.
unsettled. Like it's an unsettling feeling. Like you all you want to do is just nest or like you want to put down a little bit of roots and get comfortable and you can't do that because you have to move again and you're in a new
Exactly.
country. So yeah, I can definitely understand that like transition, it's hard and meeting people, it's hard too. So I'm happy the beauty of technology supported you in your endeavor of making friends. Like that's really comforting to hear. And
Yeah.
I'm really happy for you because meeting people from all around the world, you learn so much about the world and you learn so much about like people's different experiences and their perspectives of Canada. How did they, when you told them that you were like Canadian, did they associate you with like the States or anything like that? Because I had that sort of experience that people would like, they would be like, oh, so like Canada's like the exact same thing as America, right? Or like, did they have like a different kind of understanding of
Yeah,
that?
I'd say it was more so when I first met people and they heard my, I guess, accent, they would say, "Oh, you're from America." And then I'm like, "No, I'm actually from Canada." Yeah, so I think a lot of people here definitely associate the two together. But yeah, I have friends from America as well, and we've actually even like realized that we have some like differences in our accents. So that's been interesting. And like we say different words like about or like just words like that they were making fun of me for. But yeah.
Yeah, the beauty of being a Canadian and having all our fun little quirks, milks and bags and all that fun stuff. So yeah, it's great to hear that you have met people and that you're having the opportunity to like have moments of like celebrating birthdays together or like going out
Yeah.
and having all those sorts of experiences. So that's really great. How have you been able to do any traveling while you have been there, or do you plan to travel? If you have traveled, where have you been, and like how has that been?
Yeah, so in terms of traveling, I haven't done too much yet because I wanted to just kind of adjust to Lund first before I went elsewhere. But I do have plans to travel in April. I have my parents coming, and so I'm gonna show them Lund, but we're gonna spend a week in Copenhagen. And then I also am going to book a trip to Norway. So we're gonna do Oslo and Bergen with the friends I mentioned from Australia and Barcelona. So we're gonna go together there. And then I also have a friend actually who's studying abroad from Guelph in Manchester right now, and she's going to come visit me in April as well. And I think we'll do Lund and possibly go north to like Lapland or maybe even Germany. But yeah, I think I plan to kind of stick to Scandinavia or at least Northern Europe. Definitely Norway and then Germany, hopefully in Copenhagen. I mean, it's great. It's only 30-minute train ride from Lund actually, so I'm gonna plan to go there a lot. And then also I have a friend who lives in Finland, so I'm gonna go visit her in Helsinki as well.
That sounds so exciting. Like exploring Scandinavia is definitely on my bucket list, and it sounds like you have a
Yeah.
great plan to take on at least a few more of the countries in that area, or all of them. I don't know. I caught like you're doing a bunch of traveling, so that's really exciting. And it's also nice that you have so many like different people coming to see you and coming to visit, and that'll be nice. You'll be able to
Hmm.
show them your life in London, at least a little bit, or at least travel a little bit more. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Okay, so what is one thing you wish you knew about studying abroad before you embarked on this lovely, doubly journey?
Yeah, I think, a lot of the times people can post like this idealized version of exchange. So I think it's important to know that, there will be ups and downs and not every moment is amazing, but there are a lot of amazing moments, but it's also okay for there, to be days when you're, spending alone in your room because you just need a break from, socializing or you just need some time to yourself. So I think it's just knowing that that's okay to not be doing something all the time and taking the time for yourself as well. Because as I mentioned, I think social media can very show exchange, like it's go, 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 party, 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 meet people, meet people. But I think the reality is that that is truly an exhausting lifestyle. So also just knowing that it's okay to spend some time alone and take time for yourself and that there's not always going to be good moments and that, it's good and bad and they come together and that's how everything is, exchange included.
For sure. And I completely and utterly agree with that. I feel like sometimes there's even like a certain pressure to go out and keep doing things all the time because you're only there for a certain amount of time. But it's also important to take care of yourself and to also take time, like you said, to like debrief and sort of recharge your social battery. So it's
Mhm.
definitely for sure. Like I agree with you that sometimes studying abroad can sort of the visual of it can be distorted and you can feel as though you have to do abroad in a certain way, but everyone's experience is unique to them. So it's really nice that you're a wise human for what you just said. So
Thank you.
that's really what's it called. That's really great. So what has been your favorite part of this experience so far, as well as your least favorite? I know that this is like kind of a typical question, but I think it's important to ask. What do you
Yeah.
think?
My favorite would definitely be like the people I've met, just because I've met so many incredible people from all over the world. Like I was kind of mentioning, like my best friends here are from Spain and Australia and the UK and Czech Republic and Prague. And I just think it's just like learning from all of them and their perspectives and like interacting with people from different places and like learning their food and getting dinners together and hanging out. I just think really what makes exchange is like the people you meet. And now I know that I have like lifelong friends across Europe if I ever want to come. Like it's just great to, have people in every place of the world. I think that's really amazing. And just, yeah, I'd say just hanging out with these friends of mine and, learning about each other and making more memories. And then I'd say least favorite is that while that's been certainly amazing, I think definitely too there's a part of me that, misses home and my family and friends because it is my last semester. I'm like fourth year last semester. It's my graduating semester for me and all my friends back at Guelph. So I think it's just been hard to like miss out on that last semester I could have with my Guelph friends. And because I am studying abroad in my last semester, my graduation is delayed till October, which I knew and I was okay with. But I think I'm just part of me is, sad that I'm going to be missing out graduating with the friends who I've been in school with for the last 4 years and missing all those last moments together. But I've been doing my best to keep in contact with them. I FaceTime friends from home like every day. So that's been great. But obviously, it's different from being in person, but trying to do the best I can with the situation. And obviously, I think no matter where you go, there's always going to be a sense of missing home and your friends, family. So, yeah.
Yeah, that must be hard, but I think what's it called? I think you're getting a different sort of experience to, a lot of people in their last semester. So there's like you said, there's some positives there. But I do empathize with, it being your last semester and all, but you will definitely still graduate. You'll do all the fun things and the friends that you have here, I'm sure that they miss you like crazy, but they know that you'll come back and you'll have so many more adventures and it's not
Mhm.
forever that you won't ever see them again.
Yeah.
So yeah, everything works out in the end. People who are meant to stay in your life will always be there. It's kind of how my philosophy of that.
Yeah, I
Um,
agree.
so yeah. And then this is my final question for you. Do you have any tips or advice for those interested in studying abroad or things that you feel like are important to know before someone considers studying abroad?
Yeah, I mean, one of my main tips of advice is just say yes more and just, I think you're on exchange to experience new things and get outside of your comfort zone. So, while I was mentioning, of course, like you want to take that time for yourself and you don't always have to be doing things. I think on the other hand too, it's important to take this opportunity to try things you've never tried before and try and say yes if someone, asks you to do something, that you go on a trip or do an activity you've never experienced before, because this is a once in a lifetime opportunity and it's a great opportunity to push yourself outside of your comfort zone. So I think my first one is definitely, saying yes, as much as you can within reason and still having time for yourself. And then another tip is that really helped me too is do research on the school you're planning on going, because a lot of the times, like for example, I found out about this going app where I met my friends, by reading the websites and the emails. So just doing your due diligence on like reading all the information they send you, because they actually send out a lot of really important information and certain events where you can really benefit and meet people. So I remember like I would read the emails they sent me like 10 times and make sure like I had this done, I knew this event was happening, or download this app, because even for me, like they have a specific bus app here where you can get like cheap bus rates if you're a student. And like I would not know that if I didn't like do my due diligence and, actually read through all the information they send me. So I know it can look like a lot at first when you get all these emails, but like I trust me, there's a lot of helpful information in those. So my advice is definitely read what they send you seriously.
That's so fair. Because the worst thing you can do is just ignore people who are trying to help you and just feel, I don't know all of these things. Why am I paying? Like, you're paying for the bus, and why is yours so much cheaper than mine? So, like, all those fun little, little parts that are just really important is good. It's good to read the information that university sends you. It gives you comfort as well that you are doing everything that you can to have the best experience. So,
Exactly.
For sure. So, to close off, that's all for today's podcast. Special thanks to our lovely guest, Jen, for her valuable insight and all of her different experiences. For more information on studying abroad, you can head over to our website, uofg.ca/CIP, and follow us on Instagram at CIP_Guelph to keep up with all things study abroad. Stay tuned for our next episode where we look to unpack the study abroad experience even further. All right. Bye, everybody. Bye.